Hello friends and welcome. Do you remember the feeling of anticipation and excitement you felt on Christmas morning or perhaps on your birthday when you saw those presents with your name on them? Well, I have to somewhat sheepishly admit that I also feel that way twice a year when the package containing my order from Sephora's spring and fall sale arrives. I'm especially excited to share with you what I purchased this fall and to do a first impressions try-on of these products because I've heard rave reviews about all of these products that I purchased. So it will be interesting to see if these products live up to the hype and if they work for those of us with mature skin. Before we get started, I want to say hello and welcome to those of you who have stopped by for the very first time, and also say a warm welcome back to those of you who are returning. My name is Elise, and as a working professional makeup artist who specializes in helping those of us over 50 look our best, I love sharing beauty and makeup tips, techniques, and product suggestions that help us look our best now, as well as style and wellness tips. I recently had the pleasure of teaching an in-person makeup class once again, which I haven't been able to do for the past couple of years because of COVID. And I always like to find out why women sign up for the class and what they'd most like to learn. One woman shared that she'd been the caretaker for her husband for the past few years, so she'd been home and hadn't worn any makeup at all during that time. But she was now able to get out and do some things and went to a nearby Sephora to invest in some new makeup. But she ended up walking out without buying anything because she was absolutely overwhelmed by the sheer number of choices of products in every makeup category. Well, I can certainly understand that feeling because the beauty industry has grown exponentially over the past few years. So this is one reason why I definitely like to try out and test products on this channel so I can share with you the products that really work well for us as well as the pros and cons of these products. But before we start, I always like to share something I hope will bring a smile to your face. So here's today's entry. Now let's dive in and take a look at the Sephora products that I purchased during the recent sale and give them a try. I actually purchased products in every makeup category except brows, eye and face primer, and lipstick, so I can pretty much put on a full face of makeup with the products that I'll be using today. And as always, I'll include links to all of these products in the description box below, which you can easily access by tapping on the word "more" under the video. And if you decide that you want to purchase any of these products, I am always extremely grateful if you use these links because when you do so, it's a wonderful way to support this channel. Only 4 of the products I'll be using today are actually new products. The others were launched a while ago or they've been out of stock for quite some time. I've already done my skin prep, applied eye and face primer, and done my brows, so let's go ahead and start with eyes. This eyeshadow palette was an amazing gift I received during the sale, and I am so over the moon about it that it's been very hard to keep from dipping into it before doing this video. But I did somehow manage to rein myself in. It's Pat McGrath's special 2022 holiday palette called Mothership Mega Celestial Nirvana. As I'm sure you know, her palettes are very expensive. I have her palette from last holiday season, which is also a gift, and that palette is gorgeous, but it only has 4 mattes, which are all neutral colors. This new Pat McGrath holiday palette also has 18 shadows, but this year, 9 of them are mattes. I have a hunch that Pat McGrath got a lot of requests for more matte eyeshadows and a wider range of colors of mattes, since many of the colors in past palettes were very similar. So this year, she created a gorgeous range of matte colors: brown, deep blue, maroon, light brown, magenta, a pinky orange, green, purple, and pink. I'm going to go ahead and swatch them for you. And just for comparison, here are the colors from last year's palette. Wow, these colors are so vibrant and were so easy to swatch. They just glided on. Since there are no light matte colors in my Pat McGrath palette, I'm going to go ahead and use a color called Frothy from my Dominique Cosmetics palette and apply that across my eyelids and under the arch of my brow. This is the color I'll be using, and it's kind of an eggshell color. This transition palette has really become one of my very favorite palettes. The eyeshadows are so creamy and they go on so easily. In fact, I'm tempted to buy a second one as a backup. And then this just helps lift the eyes a little bit. Next, I'm going to dip into my new Pat McGrath palette and apply a light beigey brown color in the crease, which is called Desert Divinity. And along the outer edge of my lid and crease, I'll apply the beautiful teal green color called Altered State. This is Desert Divinity, and this gorgeous green is called Altered State. I'm using my E25 Sigma brush, which I've really come to love for putting color in my crease area. And this is really a beautiful transition color to use in the crease. I need to add a little bit more to this eye so they match. And then I'll do some blending. You almost don't have to with these eyeshadows. And then I'm just going to stamp on some of this color called Altered State. Wow, this is really pigmented. And thank goodness for good blending brushes. And then I'll blend this in. And you can see how easily that color is blending into the lighter shade on my lid. It just melts together. And now I'm taking just a little bit of frothy and going along the outer edge to make sure there are no harsh edges. And I'm just cleaning up a little bit of the fallout with some moisturizer and a Q-tip. And I want to make sure eyeshadow didn't go below this area. Next, I'm going to dip into the deep blue called Nocturnal Navy and stamp it on the outer part of the crease and the lid to give just a little bit more definition. And this is Nocturnal Navy. And then some blending. And then once again, I'll take the brush that had a little bit of the frothy color and just go around the edges. Then, just to have some fun and test out one of these shimmer metallic shades, I'm going to apply just a touch of Cosmic Champagne in the center of my eyelids. And here is Cosmic Champagne. And I'm just going to start with a brush to get not quite as bright a look. And just to test out, I'm going to use my finger, and oh, I think you can see the big difference when I use my finger to swatch it on. I'll apply eyeliner and mascara off camera later, so let's go ahead with face makeup. The bulk of my Sephora sale budget was taken up by these two foundations. One is from NARS, and it's called the Light Reflecting Foundation, and I have the shade Yukon. And the other is the new foundation from Hourglass called Ambient Soft Glow Foundation, and I use the shade 4.5. I'll apply one on one side of my face and the other on the other side of my face after I give each of them a good shake. First, let's try the NARS Light Reflecting Foundation. On the NARS website, this foundation is described as a makeup skincare hybrid with medium buildable coverage and a natural finish. It's also vegan. In addition, it's supposed to blur imperfections, smooth the look of textured skin, and visibly improve the skin's clarity after 6 weeks of daily use. 70% of its ingredients are skincare ingredients. So I'm going to go ahead and apply it after I give it that good shake. Just going to dot it on my face first. Seems like a pretty good match. We'll see once we start blending it in. I'm first just going to press it in with my brush. On the other side, I'm going to apply the Hourglass Ambient Soft Glow Foundation. It's vegan and cruelty-free, and it's described on the Hourglass website as weightless, 16-hour medium buildable coverage that provides a natural soft glow so the complexion looks seamless and lit from within. It's infused with blurring spheres that provide a light diffusing effect that minimizes the look of imperfections and is inspired by Hourglass's ambient light collection. So let's give this Hourglass foundation a try on the other side of my face. So I've gone ahead and dotted on the Hourglass foundation on this side. This one's definitely a little bit thicker, whereas the NARS was a little bit more liquidy. And I'm just using the rest of the product on the center of my face where I have more redness. All right, let's do a quick check and look at each side of my face to see if we notice any big difference between these two foundations. This is the NARS foundation on this side. And this is the Hourglass foundation. I'm not noticing a lot of difference, but this seems to have a little bit more brightness to it, the NARS side, and the Hourglass side seems to have a little bit more coverage. I'll definitely report back later about how these two foundations wore during the course of the day. My daughter has been raving about the Kosas Revealer Concealer for quite some time. The Kosas website says that this concealer provides medium coverage, it's super creamy, and it works as a concealer, eye cream, and spot treatment all in one. Kosas says it visibly brightens the skin and reveals better skin over time because of its ingredients, which include caffeine and pink algae to brighten the skin, arnica and provitamin B5 to soothe the skin, and peptides and hyaluronic acid to plump the skin. I have it in shade 1.5, which is for light skin with a pink undertone. And then I'm going to experiment a bit and use my e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer as my correcting color under one eye, but not on the other eye. And then I'll put the Kosas concealer under both eyes. This is my e.l.f. concealer in light peach, which I use as a corrector. And I'm just going to press that in first. Then I'm going to dot just the Kosas concealer under this eye and then put a little bit of it on top of the corrector on this eye. And by the way, this concealer was so hard to open, I had to ask my husband to put it in his vise to get it open. So it was definitely well sealed. Wow, this blends in so easily. It is beautifully creamy. So the reason I'm doing this is because I want to know if the corrector is needed under this Kosas concealer to make my under eye area look its best. So let's go up close and personal under my eyes and see how they look on each side. This is the side with my e.l.f. Light Peach Concealer, which serves as a color corrector, and with the Kosas concealer over it. And this is a side with just the Kosas concealer. I'll be able to see this better when I edit, but I'm thinking that this side with the corrector underneath looks a little bit better. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Then I'm taking the Kosas powder and putting it over the concealer so it doesn't crease. And I'm just going to pat it on. Let's do a close-up now to look at how the powder impacts the concealer. Again, this is the side with both the corrector and the creamy concealer from Kosas and the powder over it. And this is just the Kosas concealer with the powder. The powder really helps brighten the under eye area. A little contouring to give my face more definition comes next. I have two different products to try, which have both been out of stock for quite some time. The first is the Rare Beauty Warm Wishes Effortless Bronzer Stick in Happy Soul. And Happy Soul is a light brown shade with cool undertones. And the second is Patrick Ta's Cream Contour and Powder Bronzer Duo in She's Sculpted. The cream is on the top and the powder underneath it. The Rare Beauty product is described as an innovative liquid-like cream that melts into the skin for a believable sun-kissed warmth that doesn't fade. It's also described as being weightless, blendable, and buildable with a natural, non-greasy finish. It comes in a lighter shade called True Tan that has a neutral undertone, another shade called Always Sunny, which is a rich caramel shade with a neutral undertone, and a deep bronze shade which has a golden undertone, and finally a deep amber color that has a red undertone. Let's give this one a try. I'm going to put some of the Rare Beauty bronzer on the back of my arm and then pick it up using my new Sephora 56 brush. I love this brush so much that I bought a second one during the Sephora sale. So I have one of these brushes to use for contour and the other to use for blush. So this is what the shade Happy Soul looks like. And then I'm just swirling my brush around on top of it to pick up some to apply. And I'm going to start on this side and just blend just toward the middle part of my eye. And this is a soft color, which is nice for a very natural look. Then I'm bringing it down under my jawline to help it look a little more taut. Yeah, that's a nice, soft, natural look. The Patrick Ta Cream Contour and Powder Bronzer comes in 3 different shades. I happen to have the medium shade called She's Sculpted. Patrick Ta is a makeup artist and he suggests stamping on the cream first and then patting the powder over the cream. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. He also feels that the cream shade shapes and defines, and the powder finishes with a hint of warmth. And just as I did with the Rare Beauty bronzer, I'm going to go ahead and put some on the back of my arm with a makeup spatula, and then diffuse it and pick it up with my wiped off Sephora 56 brush. As you can see, it's a much deeper color, and it also is a much cooler tone. So I'm going to use it on this side of my face. And interesting, as I apply it, it really diffused out, so it doesn't look that deep. But obviously you can build it up. And I'm just going to apply a little bit more. I don't know if we're going to be able to see really that much difference between these two, which surprises me because I really thought the Patrick Ta would be a lot deeper. Then I'm taking a little bit of the powder and applying it over the cream. I really don't know if that's making much difference. Okay, let's look at both sides and see if we can notice a difference. This is the side with the Rare Beauty bronzer stick. And this is a side with the Patrick Ta cream bronzer and the powder over it. For blush, I purchased one of Rare Beauty's Soft Pinch liquid blushes in a shade that I haven't tried before called Grace. It's described as a matte finish bright rose mauve. But I have to say that the photo on the Rare Beauty website looks very different from how the color looks in the bottle. So let me go ahead and swatch it so we can compare it to the photo. Here's what it looks like in the bottle. And here's a swatch of this color. It is very bright. I frankly did not expect it to be this bright. The Rare Beauty liquid blushes come in 11 shades, including warm, cool, and neutral pinks, rose, peach, red, mauve, terracotta, berry, muted peach, and nude mauve. That's probably the largest selection of blush shades I've ever seen from any brand, which is really wonderful. Since this blush is very pigmented, only a very tiny amount is needed. I'll use my other Sephora 56 brush to diffuse this liquid blush on the back of my arm and then apply it. And even though this was very bright and very pigmented, as you can see, it really doesn't come off that way when you apply it. Now, if I applied it directly from the applicator, it would be a different story, I'm sure. And with a second application, it's showing up a little bit more. And it is definitely a brighter color than I anticipated. Not a bad thing, just wasn't what I was expecting. And let's apply a little bit on this side. I like to bring a little bit up here to make the whole look a little bit more harmonious. I'm frankly not sure how I feel about this shade. It is very bright. But blush is such a matter of personal taste. I tend to like mine a little bit more neutral and calmer rather than brighter. But I know some of you absolutely love a brighter color, and it can absolutely look beautiful. Now for some highlighter. I have Tarte's Maracuja Juicy Glow in the shade Pearlescent, which is their very lightest shade. It also comes in 5 additional colors, some of which are darker and some of which have a warmer undertone. It has an angled tip to fit into the contours of the face. It's extremely creamy, and it contains vitamin E and maracuja oil to firm, brighten, and hydrate the skin. And it's also vegan. And on the bottom, it has a push button that you can use to click up the product. But once you click it, you can't click it back down. So you do have to be careful about how much product you click up. I'm going to go ahead and dot it on the top of my cheekbones, my brow bone, the inner corner of my eyes, and my Cupid's bow, and then pat it in. You can see the clicker on the very top. So I'm just going to click it up a few times. And then I'm just going to dot it on the top of my cheekbones. And pat that in. That is a very pretty color. And I do like the nice soft glow it gives. No glitter, just a nice natural looking glow to the skin. And I'm going to put just a little bit on the brow bone with my finger. Just dot a little bit here and a little bit here, and some on this side, on the upper part of the cheekbone. Oh, it blends in really easily. I like this product. And it does feel hydrating. Now I'm going to head off camera to apply eyeliner, mascara, and lipstick, and I will be right back. For eyeliner, I use the darkest brown color called Nightfall from the McGrath palette, my L'Oreal lip liner and Huda Beauty lipstick, and my Tarte mascara on the upper lashes, but on the bottom lashes, I tried a new mascara from Cali Ray called Come Hell or High Water. I got a small tester of this mascara with my Sephora points. Because of the size of the brush, it was a little bit difficult to use on my bottom lashes, but it worked quite well, and I'm looking forward to trying it on my top lashes as well. I also got a mini version of NARS concealer in Hazelnut, which I'll be using for a very specific reason in an upcoming video. And the 2 samples I got were this Kiehl's Clearly Corrective Dark Spot Solution, which I've gotten before and which works really well. And I definitely went outside my comfort zone and got something else as a sample that was really quite different for me. It's a Tom Ford fragrance called Black Orchid, which, quite honestly, I really like. It's described as a sweet, earthy, warm, spicy scent that smells both sweet and very sensual, and I would definitely agree with that. I'll certainly have to spend more time with all of these products to really give an informed and accurate opinion about them, but just from this initial try-on, I must say right off the bat that I was very impressed with the Pat McGrath eyeshadow palette, and I've already shared that I absolutely love the Sephora 56 brush for blush and contour application. But let's go ahead and run through the other products that I use today. Right now, both the foundations I use, the NARS Light Reflecting Foundation and the Hourglass Foundation, look really similar on my face, although I must say it seems like there's a little bit more glow with the NARS foundation, but I really need to test these foundations separately and also wear some additional moisturizer underneath, because quite honestly, I did not apply enough moisturizer today, so I don't feel like I'm giving them a fair chance, but I'm going to test it out later and see how they're holding up. I really like the Kosas Revealer Concealer. It is so creamy and goes on so well. However, that color is going to work very well under my eyes, but I think it's a little too light to use as a concealer on the rest of my face. I'll have to see what the next darker shade is in a cool undertone. But I was amazed at how easily it went on, and it'll be interesting to see how it wears as well. I have to say that I was initially somewhat disappointed with the Patrick Ta Cream Contour and Powder Bronzer. Because of the brush I was using, I was really diffusing this cream contour and maybe too much. So I will just have to give it another shot with a different brush and see how it works. I certainly want to give it another try and don't want to give up on it. The Rare Beauty bronzer stick applied really easily and effortlessly, and this color is a nice light natural shade, even though it is a cooler tone. So this is a product that would work wonderfully for every day. So I have a little bit of definition, but it's not real strong, and it blends in very easily and effortlessly. I really did like this product. As I mentioned earlier, the color that I got in the Rare Beauty Soft Pinch Blush is probably not my favorite. I do like a couple of the other colors better, but this will be interesting. I can try mixing it with some of my other colors to see if I can soften the color a little bit, and that might work really well. So I'll have some fun playing with it along with my other colors from the Rare Beauty Liquid Blush line. I really did like the ease of application of the Tarte highliner. It's soft and creamy. It goes on easily. It can be dotted on and then blended in with the fingertips. But I'm going to have to check further because it seemed to emphasize my pores a little bit. I'm going to have to just take a closer look before I put it on and then after to really get a good feel for whether it does indeed enlarge the look of my pores. I hope not, because I really liked the feel and look of this highlighter. And I do like the stick applicator because it makes it so easy to apply. The Cali Ray Come Hell or High Water Mascara worked really well on my bottom lashes. However, I think it will work even better on my top lashes because of the size of the brush. But I have to give that a whole separate try on next time I do my makeup. And I definitely have to try it on my top lashes. I was pleasantly surprised by the Tom Ford Black Orchid fragrance. I haven't worn fragrance much for the last few years, but this really may get me back into wearing some fragrance. It was really fun to give it a try. It's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure, but I really did like the combination of the sweet and spicy. The Kiehl's Clearly Corrective Dark Spot Solution does work really, really well. But like any product like this, you have to keep applying it to really get the results that you want. So I'm going to come back in a few hours so we can see how both of the foundations look, and I'll report in on it for you. So I'm checking in now, and it's been about 5 hours since the video was recorded where I applied the foundation, and I just wanted to let you know how it's appearing right now. Frankly, I'm pretty amazed because I'm not seeing it settle into any fine lines, either of them, and they look very much the same as they did when I first applied them. So I am really quite amazed and pretty darn happy about that. So I'm going to do a quick close-up on each side so you can take a look as well. This was the side where I applied the NARS foundation, and this was the side of the Hourglass foundation. I even looked in my super duper magnifying mirror in my bathroom, and even then I could not see any breakup at all anywhere, even around the nose area, which is usually where it happens for either of these foundations. And I do enjoy the soft glow I'm finding with both of these foundations. I hope in the comment section below you'll let me know what products you thought looked the best today. And I'd also love it if you would share any products that you purchased during the Sephora sale that you would highly recommend. Until next Thursday, I wish you good health and happiness and hope you have a really fabulous rest of your day. Take care.